What's the best corporate leadership development training programs online? I get these questions all the time because leaders and organizations are really trying to identify the best training for their team. See, in this war on talent, talent has won the war. If you want to keep talented people, you got to have great leadership. And without great leadership, that talent will leave and go and work for your competitor. And it's creating exacerbating problems for a lot of organizations because they don't have good training for managers and leaders that build diverse, high-performing teams and a world-class workplace culture where people want to stay and work in that organization. And we can see it news story after news story of the number of people who are quitting jobs, walking away right now because of a toxic workplace culture. And the culprit behind that toxic workplace culture are leaders who don't inspire, who don't empower, who don't add value, and are not effective as leaders. So it's paramount that your organization come up with some training, come up with a framework that will help your leaders to get better. So whether you do it online or whether you do it offline, everybody's looking for the best in-class training that's available to you. So I want to give you, how do you know who has the best training? What is the best training for you and your leaders in your organization if you really want to build a world-class workplace culture? First thing I want you to understand is that there are lots of training out here and there's so much to sort through. So you got to find a way to sift through who has the best training that's available for you, your team, and your people. And the first way you sift through it is you got to look for training within your industry. Start with training within your industry. So if you're in banking and finance, who does the best banking and finance training available? If you're in healthcare, who does the best healthcare training available? If you work in advanced manufacturing or the airline industry, who does the best training, particularly in that industry? The reason why I'm saying you should look in the industry is you want to make sure that your training partner has the knowledge of your nomenclature. And so when I mean nomenclature, what are the acronyms and phrases that you use inside your industry that everybody doesn't know or understand? So like in healthcare, I know you know what a C. diff is. I know you know what a cardio or eclampsia is. I also know that you know what joint commission is. But outside of healthcare, most people don't know what those terms are. So why would you hire a trainer to come in and do leadership training when they don't understand your industry, when they don't understand what's going on? Now, yes, there are some trainers who might be able to adapt their content and make it fit, but I will tell you, the best training you can provide is someone who understands the challenges that your industry is facing. And they won't understand those challenges if they don't know the nomenclature, if they don't know what CMS is now requiring of every hospital, they don't understand what's being required by the FAA if you're in the airline industry. It's going to really be hard to have your leaders be as prepared as they need to be if someone is training them but doesn't understand the challenges of the industry. So that's the first thing, is to look for training within your industry. The second thing I want you to look for is someone who has been to the mountaintop. And what do I mean been to the mountaintop? I see all of the time people hiring trainers and hiring training organizations that don't have experience, credibility, and expertise at being in your role at your level. So for instance, if you're in the C-suite of a hospital, why would you hire a trainer that has never worked at that level inside of a hospital? They can't possibly understand the challenges that you face every day and what you need to be doing about them. So I'm going to tell you, you got to focus on hiring people who's been to the same mountaintop, who's seen the summits that you've seen, but more importantly, may have a multiple tiered perspective about those same challenges because they've done training inside of multiple organizations. So again, look for trainers, look for content that is relevant to your industry and reflects the level of leadership that you've had in your organization. But more importantly, it should be someone who's exceeded that level of leadership. Now, here's the third thing that I want to tell you to look for in training is you want to make sure that their content is accessible to all people. Now, when I say accessible, I'm talking about in multiple ways. It needs to be accessible to leaders who learn differently. So it should be written training. It should be oral training. It should be kinesthetic training, training in where people like to move around and use their hands. Don't accept a one size cookie cutter, one size fit all kind of training, because it's not going to fit all of your leaders. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is recognize that your training needs to be accessible, because there will be people on your team who may be deaf or hard of hearing. So you got to find a way to make sure that any long form training you do is accessible to your leaders, because you don't want to get into a position that people are getting half of the message and not all of the message. So I will tell you, closed captioning of any training or having American Sign Language there is an important part of you doing effective training, and also training that is very descriptive, so people who are sight challenged can actually understand the content and be able to see what you're putting together for people. So I would tell you, if you do that, you're going to build some of the best in class training by focusing on those three things. Someone who's in your industry, who's been to the mountaintop where you're trying to go, and they make that training accessible for people. You got to have that as your best in class. Now, if you are particularly looking for someone who wants to focus on an area of leadership, you need to talk to people and look for trainers who have that focus, because all leadership training is not the same. Some people give you management training that's packaged as leadership training. And I don't ever want to be mistaken for a management trainer. I'm a leadership trainer. There's a difference between management and leadership. See, management is making sure that people show up on time, is making sure that they punch in and punch out, is making sure that they do all of the checklists that you task them with doing. I'm not interested in that kind. I'm interested in leadership in a way that helps to inspire people, empower people, get the most out of them, but more importantly, help them to grow as leaders. That's a different set. So you really got to think through, do I want leadership training or do I want management training? You might want management training if people don't have those basic skills. So you should focus on someone who can give your people how to check the boxes in the workplace. But if you're looking for someone that you want them to lead and go to the next level, then you got to focus on leadership training. And that list gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And there's only a few of us out there who can do this work. So I hope this is helpful to you. I hope it's giving you some perspective to think about how to find the best in class corporate training out there for your team and your organization. If so, I want you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with other people. We want to make sure that people are getting the best because their team needs the best, particularly in these difficult times in which we are leading. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.